Welcome back to Inside City Hall. As we told you earlier, voters in Brooklyn who got absentee ballots with the wrong name and address on the return envelope will soon get a correct one in the mail. A Rochester-based printing company is apologizing for the mistake, but as President Trump sows seeds of doubt in the mail-in voting process, the error does not inspire confidence in the Board of Elections. State Senator Myrie of Brooklyn, who chairs the State Senate's Committee on Elections, joins me now with more on this. Senator, thank you for joining us.
Great to be with you, Errol.
Hey, is there a legislative fix in the works? Are you planning hearings? Is there some way you can write a law to maybe prevent this from happening again?
Errol, there's no way to sugarcoat this. This was a colossal screw up. I'm using family-friendly language because this is a family show. And I believe that everything should be on the table once we get past this election season. We want to encourage everyone to participate in their democracy, but it's understandable why people's confidence will not be at an all-time high given what has just transpired.
To what extent is the problem the structure of the Board of Elections? It's politically managed. Republicans get half the board seats, Democrats get the other half of the seats, and from those folks, they do all of the hiring, and it's mostly along political lines. I mean, what if we hired on merit? What if we had a civil service exam to work at the Board of Elections?
You know, I think that this is an issue, the professionalization of the board, really thinking through what the structure looks like going forward. That's a discussion that is absolutely necessary. Some of these mistakes taken in isolation, I think most reasonable voters might understand. We are in an unprecedented global pandemic. We've never had to face voting in circumstances that we find ourselves in right now. But these problems have predated this pandemic. And taken in the aggregate, I think voters, quite frankly, are fed up and they would like as much access to the ballot as possible. And perhaps we should be considering these changes. I want to drive home the point that I am very willing to have these conversations once we get past this election season.
One thing I have noticed is that we're in pretty bad shape if the defense against what Trump is saying about having rigged ballots is that we're just incompetent. It's not political bias. It's just inability to execute. Is that kind of where we are right now?
You know, I think that the overwhelming majority of people at the Board of Elections, the workers, are coming to work every day trying to do the right thing. And so I don't want to impute sort of any aspersions on the individual workers. But I do think that we have a very foundational issue where we have seen these problems happen over and over again. And they do, unfortunately, in this circumstance, lend credence to some of the president's behavior in trying to attack the credibility. What we do know, what the facts are, is that voter fraud does not happen at any material level that we should be worried about. And even when there are mistakes by this New York City Board of Elections, I think voters should be confident that we still have other options for you to participate in. It is unfortunate that out of the gate we saw this mistake with the vendor. I think that going forward, when we talk about the procurement process, who should be the vendor for the Board of Elections, how that process is conducted, these are things that the legislature should be taking a very, very close look at. And I intend in my role as the chair of the Board of the Elections Committee in the Senate to be very active in doing so.
As a practical matter, for people who are wondering what they can or should do between now and November, personally, I'm going to go to early voting. I think it starts October 14th. I put a reminder in my calendar to go out on October 15th and just be done with it, because like you, I do know people at the Board of Elections. They're nice people. They mean well. They work hard. They're clearly going to be overwhelmed by this surge in activity. And I think of the post office the same way. They're kind of overwhelmed, and they're also a troubled organization. I want to just take a little bit out of their hands and do something that's important to me, which is making sure my vote gets counted. So I'm going to, just kind of shuffle on over to the voting spot. And then those who really do need to use it, people who are laid up in bed or senior citizens or whatever it may be, or people who are worried about their health, have compromised health, can use the absentee ballot system. Are you comfortable saying something like that? I'm just some guy on television, but are you comfortable telling people that for the safety of your ballot, it might be best if you can manage it to show up in person to vote this year?
Errol, I am not only comfortable, that is what everyone should be doing. If you can vote early, please vote early in person. Note that your early voting site is probably different than your regular polling site. You can look that up at NYC Poll Site Locator. It is very easy to find. Go in person if you're able to. The lines will be shorter. You have a number of days to choose from. The schedule is open. And like you said, Errol, the reduction of the workload on our Board of Election staff, on the United States Postal Service, cannot be overstated. We have a really great system in early voting. We've only had 2 elections thus far since we passed it. It has been successful thus far. It has been underutilized. So please vote early.
Okay, well, we will see you out there. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll wish you the best of luck. Please help get us through this. It sounds like we've got a disaster in the making. Let us know how it goes as you try and implement some reforms. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Errol.
Okay, we're going to take a short break here. Still to come, I'll be joined by my Wednesday politics panel. We're going to analyze last night's debate and talk about whether it has helped undecided voters make up their minds. Stay with us.